Edmund O'Brien as
Johnny Dollar.
This is Bruce Hardwick, Mr. Dollar. Do you remember me?
I think I do. You're with the Corinthian Life and Liability, aren't you?
That's right. We'll have some work for you if you aren't busy.
I'm not. Shoot.
Good. Our New York office got a call from the police this morning. They had investigated some trouble on the east side and found one of our policies at the scene and wanted to find out what the company knew about the man it covered, which was very little.
Well, what kind of trouble was it?
Nobody seems to know. All the signs of murder, I understand, but no body. Will you go down and see what you can make of it?
Edmund O'Brien in another adventure of the man with the action expense account. America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to Home Office, Corinthian Life and Liability Insurance Company, Hartford, Connecticut. The following is an accounting of expenditures during my investigation of the Richard Splain matter. Expense account item 1, $35 trip from Hartford to the scene of the crime. A part of Manhattan where the citizens have been conditioned to sleeping through screams, gunshot, and even the odors. I was met by a homicide sergeant, and the tenement flat he took me to lived up to its first description. It did bear all the signs of murder, except a body. Well, it must have taken a long time to accomplish all this. The place rented in the name of Richard Splain.
Yeah. What's the address on his insurance policy?
The number on 2nd Avenue. How does the report read on this so far, Sergeant?
You can see everything we saw. From the amount of busted furniture, a violent struggle. From the amount and placement of bloodstains, a sustained beating of someone there by the radiator.
Nobody heard it?
Nobody cared if they did hear it. We've asked questions, but the people won't admit anything. They don't want to get involved. The landlady phoned us after she saw the door open and looked in.
Any bloodstains out in the corridor?
Haven't found any. You seen enough?
Yeah, I guess so. What's this?
Part of some wrecked ship models. Seem to be Splain's hobby, collecting them. Yeah, there's not much we can do. We'll put this flat under lock and key. We can hold it that way for a while and wait for him to come back, but that's about all. Until we have some concrete evidence.
Like a body?
That would help. Are you going to wait for us or follow it up yourself?
Oh, I've got that address on 2nd.
That's his wife, isn't it?
And beneficiary in the policy.
I can't do much with her until she makes a missing persons report or something, and she hasn't.
Yeah. Well, I get anything from her, I'll let you know. Expense account item 2, $1.50 taxi to the 2nd Avenue address. Mrs. Splain was a rather dumpy blonde with tousled hair and half-applied lipstick. She obviously didn't want me to come in.
Well, it's not that I don't want to help any way I could, Mr. Dollar. But I haven't seen much of Dick lately. We split up, you know.
No, I didn't.
Who came in here, Clara?
Oh, it's something about Dick.
Dick. Well, what about him? I'm sick of you getting bothered over that bum.
Oh, now, Mark, hold your temper. This man is from the insurance. Mr. Dollar, this is Mr. Bond.
How are you?
Okay. What's insurance got to do with this?
Splain had a policy on his life. Mrs. Splain is the beneficiary.
I guess I never told you, Mark. I almost forgot about it myself. It isn't very much.
$35,000. How did you learn about what happened?
Well, the police phoned me. Wanted to know if he was here. I told them the same as I told you. Well, I don't even know if Dick was in or out.
What do you mean, in or out?
In port or at sea.
Oh.
He worked on a boat.
In his policy, he listed his occupation as a carpenter.
Well, he used to be. But since the war, he's been a ship's carpenter. He's away all the time. That's one of the reasons I dumped him.
That wasn't the worst.
You talk to Mr. Dollar while I go on and put the rest in my mouth.
Oh.
I feel like I'm not half dressed.
Well, what do you want to know about him?
Whether he's dead or alive. You think he'd call Mrs. Splain if he was hurt and in trouble?
No. I know for sure he wouldn't. When they quit, they meant it.
Has there been a divorce?
Not yet. It costs money. She hasn't got any. I haven't. And if Splain has, he's not letting loose.
Would you happen to know if there's somebody he would turn to? The police checked the hospitals without finding him.
No, I don't know where he'd go. Hey, what makes you so sure Splain is the one that got messed up? Maybe he went to work on somebody else.
That's what I was thinking. One thing I can tell you from experience. Dick can take care of himself. And he's mean. But honest, that's the very best I can do.
Okay, thanks. Here, I put my hotel room number on my card in case you want to phone. And I'll let you know if anything develops. Expense account item 3, $1.50 to Splain's flat. I decided that it would be easier to learn there the name of his last ship. And with that, I hoped to find someone who was closer to him than his wife. Sergeant Burns was no longer there, but a lie or two got a pass key from the landlady, and I went in. The top drawer of the battered bureau produced not only what I was looking for, but more. The name of the ship was the Tangier, and an envelope that contained a seaman's papers also contained a small address book with enough names and addresses to keep at least one investigator happy. I started to jot them down, but got no more than halfway through. I hope you don't mind, Sergeant.
What's all this?
Who are you?
My friend, the Splains. I heard you moving in here and thought he was in. What happened?
Shut the door.
What a mess.
Nobody seems to know what happened.
Who are you? A cop?
Private type.
Is Splain dead?
Who'd want to kill him?
I don't know. I was going to ask him. All that blood and everything busted up. Look, I don't want to get mixed up in it. I just knew him like in the bar sometimes.
Wait a minute. Come on, what's the idea? Shorty, I want you to tell me about Dick Splain.
No, stay off me. I don't know much about him.
You knew enough to walk through his door before anyone answered it.
Well, sure, I do that sometimes. I come to talk to him sometimes when he's in from a trip. I can't go to them places. He tells me about them. I'd like to hear about Tangier and them places. And he shows me them ship models he makes.
Do you know any of the people he does?
Well, all I know is where he's been. He never stays in more than a week. He eats at Sweeney's sometimes. That's just across the street. I can't help you, mister. Let me go.
What's your name?
It don't make no difference what my name is. I don't want to get mixed up in something I don't know anything about. Come on, now, please give me a break, will you?
Okay.
Hey, what are you reaching for?
My wallet. Will $10 pay for your time?
Sure will. Thank you. You're a good guy. I'm sorry I can't help you more.
Expense account item 4, $10, peace offering. I had a feeling I'd paid for lies with it and covered the possible loss by tailing the rabbity little man to an address a few blocks away. His name turned out to be Paul Krell. What was left of the afternoon was spent on routine legwork, and at 6 I was on the phone in my hotel room.
Sergeant Burns.
This is Dollar, Sergeant.
Oh, how'd you make out?
I've got nothing. Splain and his wife separated and can't afford a divorce. She's taken up with a guy named Mark Bond. They both say they haven't seen or heard from Splain for a long time.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know anything about that guy.
It seems he's a ship carpenter. I got the name of the ship and went aboard. He's been with it for a couple of years, same one, plies between here and North African ports. Those people don't know much about any of their crewmates' shore life, so I didn't get much. Few names I can check tomorrow.
What's the ship?
The Tangier, white flag line, Pier 80 on the East River. Have you run into anything?
I'm still waiting.
Well, you've got my hotel.
Yeah, thanks